Hello guys, how are you? Good morning again. We start our lecture today regarding thesis seminar, and we discussed so many things before in our previous sessions, and in the continuation of those sessions of those weeks, we start our lecture today. Today is week number 13, and week number 14 will be the revision week, and week number 15 will be the final exam. Means that after this week only 1 week will be left, which is week number 14, and then after week number 14 the week 15 according to our syllabus will be the final examination. Okay, so I hope you guys have finished your thesis. I received your emails regarding your thesis, and I'm evaluating this. And some those students who have not submitted their thesis, they can submit it to me before the 15th week, because I have to check this and I evaluate it, and according to the evaluation I will give you the gradings and vice versa. Okay, we discussed so many things, as you know, that in the thesis, in the research work, regarding how to write a title, how to write table of contents, how to write effective introduction, how to write the main body, which is already comes in the introduction column, introduction heading, and we discussed the how to write, how to do the testing, how to do the result and discussions, okay, how to do the interpretation of the results, okay, and the referencing. So I think that we discussed a lot of things, everything, all the elements which belongs with the thesis, all the 8 elements which belongs with the thesis. But in my point of view, the result of every research, the result of every thesis is the most important element, because result basically is the final ending output, the final production, we can say this, that how what is the meaning of and what is the result and what we learn from this research work. So to write an effective result and to describe it in the discussion, in a thorough discussion, that is a very important thing in my point of view. Okay, so which means that today we discussed that how to write an effective result and how to write effective or a comprehensive discussion of the following result, which we determined or which we have gained with the help of this research activity. Okay, so when writing a dissertation or thesis, the results and discussion sections can be both the most interesting as well as the most challenging sections to write. You may choose to write these sections separately or combine them into one single chapter, depending on your university's guidelines and your own preferences. So there are the advantages to both approaches. Writing the results and discussions as separate sections, it allows you to focus first on what results you obtain and set out clearly what happened in your experiments and your investigations without worrying about their implications. Okay, so this can focus on your mind on what the result actually show and help you to sort them in your head. Okay, however, many people find it easier to combine the result with the implications, as the two or more closely connected things. The result section should set out our key experimental results, including any statistical analysis and whether or not the results of these are significant. Okay, you should cover any literature support your interpretation of significance. It does not have to include everything you did, particularly for a doctorate dissertation. However, for an undergraduate or master's thesis, you will probably find that you need to include most of your work. Okay, you should write your result section in the past tenses. Okay, always be remember, never use your result section in the present tense or the future tense, past tense. Or what are the past tense? Was, were, had. Okay, these are the past tenses, and you are describing that you have done this in the past. Okay, because the thing you already done this, you are getting the result. You are finding your research problems in a comprehensive manner. Every result must have a method set out in the method section. Check back to ensure that you have included all the relevant methods. Conversely, every method should also have some results. Okay. Given so, if you choose to exclude certain experiments from the results, make sure that you remove mention of the method as well. If you are unsure whether to include certain results, go back to your research questions and decide whether the results are relevant to them. It doesn't matter that whether they are supportive or not. Okay, they are supportive or not, it doesn't matter, but it's about relevant. If they are relevant, you should be included to them. Okay, so having decided that what to include, next to decide what order to use. You should choose chronological manner which should follow the methods, or in order from most of at least important in the answering of your research questions, or by research hypothesis, which are the assumptions. You also need to consider how best to present your results, tables, figures, graphs, or text. Try to use a variety of different methods of presentations, and consider your reader. 20 pages of dense tables are hard to understand, as are 5 pages of graphs, but a single table and well chosen graph that illustrate your overall findings will make things much clearer. So make sure that each table and figure has a number and a title. Number, tables and figures in a separate list must consecutively by the order in which you mention them in the next. If you have more than about 2 or 3, it's often helpful to provide list of tables and figures alongside the table of contents at the start of your dissertation. To summarize your results in the text, drawing on the figures and tables to illustrate your points, the text and figures should be complementary, not repeat the same information. You should refer to every table or figure in the next. Any that you don't feel the need to refer to can safely be moved on an appendix or even removed. Okay, make sure that you include information about the size and direction of any changes, including percentage change if appropriate. Statistical tests should include details of p-values or confidence intervals and limits. While you don't need to include all your primary evidence in the section, you should, as a matter of good practice, make it available in an appendix to which you should refer at the relevant point. For example, details of all the interview participants can be found in Appendix A, with transcripts of interview in Appendix B. So, for example, if you are doing a survey of a questionnaire, if you are interviewing your people, your target audience, suppose, so those interview section must become in your appendix. Appendix A, Appendix 2. If you do 2 surveys, you have to write this in Appendix B. Okay, but not in the main structure, which are the main elements. Okay, if you are writing your reviews, so you can put them in the appendix, which are the annexures, but not comes in the main elements. So this is the most important thing. Some students will do a mistake that they will write the interviewer questions in the main bodies, which is a wrong technique. And if you will do this, you will lose your numbers. So you will most inevitably find that you need to include some slight discussions of your results during the section. So this discussion should be evaluate the quality of the results and their reliability, but not stray too far into discussions of how far your results support your hypothesis and answers of your research questions, as that is for the discussion section. In the discussion sections, four purposes must be included. And what are they? The first purpose is interpretation and explain your result. And what is the meaning of interpretation? Summarization. To give a proper summary of your result and to explain them that this is my result, these are the consequences, these are the findings, these are the positive aspects, these are the negative aspects, if any, in your result, in your research you will find out, and you can write these type of things and explain it and further flourish it accordingly. The second one is answer your research questions. Answer your research questions. The third one is justify your approach. Okay, justify your approach. The fourth one is critically evaluate your study. Critically evaluate your study. Okay, you have to evaluate critically in a thorough manner. So the discussion section therefore needs to review your findings in the context of the literature and the existing knowledge about the subject. You also need to demonstrate that you understand the limitations of your research and the implications of your findings for policy and practice. This section should be written in the present tense. So this section should be written in the present tense, not in the past tense or not in the future tense. In the present tense, this section must be there. So the discussion section needs to follow from your results and relate back to your literature review. Make sure that everything you discuss is covered in the sections, in the result sections. Some universities require a separate section or recommendation for policy and practices and for future research, while others allow you to include this in your discussions. So check the guidelines carefully. So in our university, YSU, you should write a recommendation letter again, another part, and policies and practices for the future research and vice versa. So you can say this, starting the task, most people are likely to write this section best by preparing an outline, setting out the broad thrust of the argument and how your results support it. You may find techniques like mind mapping and helpful in making the first outline. Check out our page critical thinking for some ideas about how to think about your ideas. You should start by referring back to your research questions, discuss your results, then set them into the context of the literature and then into the broader theory. So this is likely to be one of the longest sections of your dissertation, and it's a good idea to break it down into chunks and subheadings to help your reader to navigate through the details. Okay, so flashing out the details once you have your outline in front of you, you can start to map out how your results find into the outline. So this will help you to see whether your results are over focused in one area, which is why writing up your research as you go along can be a helpful process. For each theme or idea, you should discuss how the results help to answer your research questions and whether the results are consistent with your expectations and the literatures. The importance of understanding differences. If your results are controversial, okay, and or unexpected, you should set them fully in context and explain why you think that you obtained them. So your explanations must include issues such as non-representative sample of convenience purposes, a response rate skewed towards those with a particular experience, or your own involvement as a particular participant for sociological research work. So you do not need to be apologetic about these, but because you made a choice about them, which you should have justified in the methodology section. However, you do need to evaluate your own results against other findings, especially if they are different. A full understanding of the limitations of your research is part of a good discussion section. At this stage, you may want to revisit your literature review unless you submitted it as a separate submission earlier, and revise it to draw out those studies which have proven more relevant. So it concludes by summarizing the implications of your findings in brief and explain why they are important for researchers in practice, and provide some suggestions for further work. So you may also wish to make some recommendations for practice. As before, this may be a separate section or included in your discussions. So what are the conclusions? You must give them in a proper manner, in a professional manner. So the results and discussion in the conclusion, including conclusion and recommendations, are probably the most substantial sections of your dissertation. Substantial means the most important. The conclusion and the recommendation sections are the most important sections of your dissertation, of your thesis. Once completed, you can begin to relax slightly, because you are on the last stages of writing this. So these are the things which we gonna discuss about in today's lecture, about our results and discussions. So when writing a dissertation or a thesis, the results and discussion section can be both the most interesting as well as the most challenging sections to write. You may choose to write these sections separately or combine them into a single chapter, depending on our university's guideline and your own preferences. Okay, so you can, in my point of view, you can write the full heading of results and discussions. Okay, and you can write all the things regarding in the same heading. You can write all your results and your discussions in a thorough manner, and it's a very important thing, believe me. You may choose to write these sections separately or combine them into a single chapter, depending. So these are the advantages to both approaches. And what are the advantages? Writing the results and discussions as separate sections allows you to focus first on what results you obtain and set out clearly what happened in your experiments and or investigations, without worrying about their implications. So this can focus your mind on what the results actually show and how, and help you to sort them in your head. So however, many people find it easier to combine the results with their implications, and as the two closely connected areas, headings. So combining the results and discussion sections, as some specify that they must kept separate. So this is, both techniques are okay. If you are writing if you are giving the two headings, result heading and then discussion headings, okay, no problem. And if you are combining the two headings, then also fine, no problem. But in my point of view, according to me, if for example if I am a student on your side, so definitely I will choose a combined heading. I will not choose a separate heading because it is good for me. Why I am writing another heading? Why I will make things confusion and confusion? No, I will combine both of the things, results and conclusions, in the same heading, and then I will both derived in the same heading and concluded accordingly. Okay, so in my point of view, according to my suggestion as a professor, I want to give you this suggestion that you can write the same heading of regarding results and discussions, and you can do this accordingly. Okay, so the results section to set out your key experimental results is including statistical analysis. In the statistical analysis, which already discussed it in the previous week, regarding that you have to, in the statistical analysis, you must have a charts and a tables, and in the charts and the tables you must give them some calculations. And if you, for example, if you are writing your research qualitative, so of course qualitative also has some calculations, the basic calculation, which are the plus and minus, which are the average size or the mean value. But if you are writing your thesis regarding quantitative, then you must give them a proper mean value, average, and then variance, and then standard deviation, and then regression, and then coefficient of variance, and then Z value or t testing, which give you the understand the confidence level. And how you do this? With the help of the SPSS. And what is SPSS? It's statistical programming for social sciences, and it is comes in your Excel. Okay, and for example, if you are weak in Excel, you can go directly write in Google's average calculator, mean calculator, variance calculator, standard deviation calculator, okay, coefficient of variance calculator, Z value calculator, T value calculator. So all the calculators are present in the Google, and you just give a proper value, and then they will give you the idea that what are the calculations are, and vice versa belong with it. So the results section should set out your key experimental results, including any statistical analysis, and whether or not the results of these are significant. You should cover any literature supporting your interpretation of significance. It does not have to include everything you did, particularly for a doctorate thesis. However, for an undergraduate, or if you are master's thesis, you will probably find out you need to include most of your work. Okay, so you should write your results sections in the past tense. You are describing what you have done in the past, and what are the past tense? Was, were, had. Okay, so these are the past tense. So every result, including, must have a method set out in the method section. Check back to make sure that you have included all the relevant methods. Conversely, every method should also have some results given. So if you choose to exclude certain experiments from the results, make sure that you remove mention of the method as well. If you are unsure whether to include certain results, go back your research question and decide whether the results are relevant to them. It doesn't matter whether you are supportive or not. It's about relevance. If they are relevant, you should include them. Having decided what to include, next decide what order to use. You could choose chronological manner, which should follows the methods, or in order from most of at least important in the answering of the research questions, or by research questions, and by hypothesis or the assumptions. Okay, so these are the things today's lecture, my dear students, we discussed regarding results and implications and its discussions. This is the last part or the last element of our research. Again, I'm repeating, as I'm repeating a request to every every lecture or every week, that please submit me your thesis on time. You must submit me your thesis in the next week at least. Those students who already submitted your thesis, thank you very much, and I have your thesis. I will evaluate it, and I will give you the grading. But those students who have not submitted your thesis, please submit me on your time, on time. And I think that because this is an online semester, you already know this, because of the COVID-19, everything is online in the whole world, not only here in our university, in the whole world. This semester, all the universities of the world, this semester is online. For example, Pakistani universities, US, UK, everywhere this semester is online because of the COVID-19, because this is a pandemic disease. And so please, so our exam, and this is a thesis, there will be no exam in the thesis. Your exam is your thesis research work. So please submit me your thesis on time, and then I will evaluate, and I will give you the grading accordingly. So please submit it to me. If you are confused, or if you have any questions in your mind, you can ask me from our YSU Cyber website. As soon as you will give me the questions, I will give you the answers. Okay, so till then, next week, goodbye, and to be continued. Thank you very much.